everyone. Welcome back to yet another conversation on the We Talk Talent. Are you prepared to uncover the strategies of the top HR leaders of the country? On that note, this is the season 5 of the We Talk Talent, your guide to decoding the future of workforce. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Dr. Rajorshi Ganguli, President and Global HR Head, Alkem Laboratories. Dr. Rajorshi, with almost 3 decades of diverse HR experiences across sectors like pharma, energy, currently oversees the HR, admin, CSR, and corporate communications at Alkem Laboratories. He's a strategic thinker and a sought after speaker, holds a PhD, and has been recognized in prestigious list of India's top 50 HR leaders and India's most agile HR leaders. Hi, Rajorshi, welcome. It's an absolute honor to have you with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Soumya. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And thanks for inviting me today for this show.
Great, thank you so much. And for the viewers, that's where we start off the conversation with a lot of exciting things that are happening at Alkem. And on that note, Rajorshi, I'm going to kick off. And let me just start this conversation by asking you that how is your industry tackling the changes that the workplace has gone by in, let's say, the last 2 or 3 years, which have been a considerable shift for all of us? So if you could give us a brief overview, that's going to be great.
Yeah. So I think, see, if we are specifically talking about post-COVID or from the time the COVID started, I think we are almost now 4 years into it. So there has been quite a bit of a dramatic shift even in industry like ours, which has been a more or less more brick and mortar kind of industry. I think a couple of things. One is we see a lot of the way people work or want to work has undergone a shift. I mean, that's something you have been hearing all across. I think the concept of work which can be done only from an office, etc. I think that has undergone a change. So people, there is an intermix of work life and personal life. And what I have seen is those who are able to balance that well, I think they are very successful. I mean, it's while we all have a 8 to 9 hours, a so-called a work day, but it definitely intrudes much beyond that. And if you're able to balance that very nicely, you will not bring stress to your life. And for that, you have to love your job. And equally, you have to love your life. And so, how do you find a balance between the two is important. The second important shift that we have seen is that the pace at which the economy or the environment is moving across all industry, even in our industry, every few months there is something different happening. Of course, COVID brought its own challenges. Post COVID, again, there are multiple challenges. So one big shift that we are seeing finding is the ability of the people, the leadership team down the line to be very quickly agile and being adaptive is very important. Otherwise, if you are not, you'll be taken off the ground. For example, even if I have thought about a business model 7, 8 months back, it's not necessary that is still valid now. It may be valid, it may not be valid. So that's one big shift we are finding across everywhere. The third important is, the ability to learn and unlearn. It is going a very continuous shift. And, what was something relevant 6 months back may not be relevant now. Yeah. So how do you kind of, put this all together and, make people effective on the job is becoming a big challenge for everyone, because every other day or every few weeks down the line, you have to navigate through all this or reorient again after a few months and get going. So I think this is something which we are seeing. It is now becoming a part of our life or part of our DNA, and one has to adapt very quickly. I think I'll pause here, but of course, there are many other things, but these three, four things, and of course, the other thing what we are noticing is, with the new generation coming to the workforce, which is the Gen Z, we call it, they bring their own expectation at work. They're born in a very digital world. We all know about that.
Right.
So when you have three, four generations at workplace, how do you handle them? Because the managers are typically from one or two generations before, and they would always impose some of their the learnings or the way they have been managed in the past, those same things on the new generation, but they are not used to it. So there we see a sometimes a kind of a mismatch of expectation versus reality. And as an organization, how you address that quickly, because you have to make them successful. You have to, you can't just do everything. I mean, you have to carry all the generations together. So these are some of the things, and of course, there are many business challenges as well. But at the top of my mind, these are some of the things which are immediately coming.
I think that looks like a power snapshot, if I could say the least, Rajorshi. Thank you so much for putting it out. You've actually covered it piece by piece for the viewers, so that's very interesting. And it kind of prompts me for the next question and one of the burning trends at the moment that talks about the talent war. So, my question to you is that according to you and your industry demands at the moment, what type of skill shortage do you think is really causing the talent war?
Okay. So, if you look at a pharma industry where I come from, basically there are three, four segments of the industry. Of course, I am more in the company which are in the pharma space. If you look at the extended healthcare or life science industry, there are many other pieces to it. There's a medical device, hospital, CRO. I may not touch those. At least let's talk about the pharmaceutical kind of part of the health science that we are in. Now, there are two, three big pieces of workforce for any company. One is the sales force, which is a big segment of any of these companies. The other is the typical manufacturing and operations kind of a workforce, and within the organization I'm talking about. And the third is the research development, and the fourth is the corporate functions. So if you look at the challenge of skill, I think they are at different proportions in these different segments. In the sales, it is not, it is the challenge is not about skill set or availability. Yes, talent is available, but how fast are they able to adapt the sales processes and skill sets to be effective on the job in the clinic? I think that is something becoming quite a bit of a challenge for any company. So how do you kind of create a learning environment where people are made effective from the day one, because the business cannot stop. So how do you quickly understand what's happening in the marketplace? You adapt yourself, deliver. I think that's one challenge, because there are no finishing schools in the country.
Yeah.
You hire people from a certain education background, and they don't readily come with skills where they are taught the selling skills. So you have to really make them, train them to be effective from first few weeks down the line. So their availability is not a challenge, but how do you make them understand the changing dynamics in the sales? That becomes a challenge. If you look at the manufacturing side, I think there the challenge is slightly different. There are two big buckets to it. One is the manufacturing or the production, where a lot of automations are happening in today's world. It's industry is progressing. We call it the industry 4.0, etc. and a lot of automations, digitization is coming in the how we operate the shop floor. So there again, we find that there is a mismatch between the talent that we get from the market or from the education institutions, and when they enter the workforce, they have to be trained thoroughly in that. And even the machine specifications, the technology, they are changing every other year. So how do you kind of adopt the digital tech part of it? Is very important. And today's, compared to 20 years back or 15 years back or the 10 years back, the rate at which the shop floor people have to adapt technology is very important, be it running the machine or the quality systems, because everything is automated, digitized. So one has to learn those things, and make yourself, uh, kind of super ready all the time. Because today, even what I learn in a machine, that machine specifications might change few months down the line. So that's one area where all of us face kind of continuous challenge of reskilling on the shop floor. More so people, who are little aged workforce, and they are not so much experienced on the automation side. So they find it sometimes little bit difficult, or they take more time to learn those skills. The third aspect is the R&D part, which is some of the core part of a pharma kind of an environment. There, new kind of drug development method processes are coming. We are, as a country, we are getting more into biosimilars and other areas. So there is a perpetual shortage of good R&D talent in the country. From the generic side, we are well off now compared to a few decades back. But if you ask me, in the newer areas of technology, like biosimilars and several other drug development process, I think we are still catching up. I think that's the kind of skill dynamics we are having. And lastly, the corporate functions, which are industry agnostic, I think there the skills shortage or the talent shortage is relatively lesser, because we can attract talent from any industry, whether it's a finance, a legal, or a human resource. There at least, the source can be different industry, but the other pocket, typically the source is from within the industry. So that makes it slightly challenging there.
I agree. I think that has been like a good intel for all of us, Rajorshi. You really did make us aware of what's going on in the farm and how things are so different. And I really like that you've kind of bucketed the entire takeaway in the sense of an adaptability, automation, and R&D. So that's very important. And I know it is a very innovative, or I would probably say an innovation seeking, industry. That's something that you highlighted. That brings me to another part. You said that it's not very easy to kind of attract talent because the kind of skills you look out are very different. On that note, Rajorshi, it's a very, very important bucket that I would want to discuss with you. Is the employer branding strategy, because it is one of those power tools that kind of helps you in this strategy. So, according to you, how exactly has your employer branding strategy evolved over the past few years, or if I could say it has shined through for you?
Yeah, I think, that is a very important area for any organization to kind of handle these days. Uh, Especially, the last uh, maybe 5 7 years, it has been, the world is highly connected. Everybody communicates, everything is out there on the social media. The good old days, it used to be only word of mouth. But it's no more now. You're present everywhere, everybody talks about you. So the employer branding, therefore, holds a very important aspect of a leadership agenda today, not just HR agenda. It's the CEO's agenda as well. Because see, uh, anybody whom we want to attract, whether it's at the a fresher level or at even at the senior most level, people do homework about the company. They talk about it, they kind of seek inputs not just from peers or anybody they know. They also read a lot about, or they have a curiosity to know about the company. And there are millions of sources around from where you can get inputs. So all the more reason in today's scenario, we all are very keen that, the organization should portray its brand very well. Now, we always say that our action should talk more than our words. So I think one thing as an organization we are very clear is, I mean, it's not just about going and talking out there in the social media or other, but at least, you should create first an internal uh, environment where people really are charged up. They feel it's really a great place to work. Because internally, if I'm not a great place to work, howsoever I advertise or talk about it, it will have a momentary benefit. So
Correct.
one aspect of our strategy is to first really create a good workplace. So over the last several years, we have even partnered with Great Place to work on specific dimensions. How do we kind of create a good culture, environment, sensitize leadership? And it has been the DNA of Alkem also. It has been a people first company. So it's not that additionally we had to do anything, but we had to keep working on those elements more and more because comes from our management, the promoters, and they really truly care for people. So that has been part of our DNA. But other than that, also, we had to work significantly on, building a great place to work kind of a communication, experience, and at different touch points at the kind of a campus level, freshers level, or even when you go out and hire laterals from the market. Because if you are able to attract good talent to your company, they in turn are able to attract good talent. So it's a word of mouth or an indirect publicity which you get. I mean, when you see somebody, a good leader working in your organization, you want to be associated with. So this is how we have worked on it. And of course, being present in the social media or different platforms where we have talked about some of the things that we are doing, you know, which otherwise may not be known to people. Because if something we are doing good in the organization, we talk about it. Because in today's generation, people look up, they see what's happening, then they decide whether to join an organization or not. So creating a great purpose, what we stand for, and communicate things that we are doing, exposing our good leaders, good practices, and then when people come inside, how do you really give them a good atmosphere overall, a good culture, rewarding atmosphere, allow people to really grow in their career. This all makes up a good employer branding. And
Exactly.
that's what we have consciously worked on.
It looks like a foolproof structure and a very actionable, as you say, the word of mouth, Rajorshi. Sounds very exciting. So I'm sure you guys are doing a great deal of work at Alchem. Thank you for sharing that with the viewers.
In
It
fact,
also
just to
brings,
let you know
yeah,
that of course, last year we did not participate, but in 2022, Alchem, not only we were certified as a great place to work for the third time, we also ranked in the top 100 across industry.
yeah.
So we got the 31st rank, and in pharma, of course, we were the number one. So, that is also an external endorsement of what we are doing because this is all about employee surveys and their feedback, which helps them score against different companies. So, this is one aspect of it, but fundamentally, you have to create a great place within. Then only you can talk outside.
I think that's a stellar thought that you have. And of course, it speaks volumes. I mean, these credentials, these validations does kind of tell us that you guys are doing an amazing job of maintaining this brand value. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Rajesh, it also brings me to another question that we talk about. We've already spoken the talent war, and you highlighted it beautifully for us. Now it brings me to the next part of it, the soft skills. There is a lot of noise around this. So, how Do you see the importance of soft skills evolving in the future for us?
I always say that your technical skills or hard skills are given, but what differentiates a great performer from an average one is the soft skill. Of course, you should have the know-how that's given. I mean, that's a basic entry point. But when you apply your knowledge at work, it is where your soft skills come.
Yeah.
And that and not that it is becoming important now, but it is becoming all the more important now because it's a hyper-connected world.
Yeah.
From the time we wake up, the first thing we see is our mobile, and we start interacting with people on electronic platform when we come to office face to face. So today's world, I think, there are different elements of soft skills which are becoming very important. And For us, for example, a very important is how do you relate with people. I can be a great technical expert, but at the end of the day, I have to work with people around me. So are do people find me somebody who is kind of energizing people around? We look for people not just at the leadership level, but at any level. If the person is not able to energize people around, people don't feel connected with him or her,
Yeah.
howsoever good knowledge the person may have. So I think that's one. There are, of course, various soft skills which are becoming more important. Um, you know, One needs to be empathetic, one needs to have the initiative, and the more important things that I even talk about and we look for even in Alchem is, are you the go-to person for people, for everyone? If you are the go-to person, if they see you as the problem solver, you are really effective at work. We need today people who are really solving issues for you.
Oh,
If you come to me and I am not able to solve the immediate issue or the issue that for which you have come to me, you know I people don't develop that trust with me.
yeah.
You're not seen to be dependable. And if you are not seen to be dependable, or you are not able to trust with me, your confidence in me doesn't go up. And vice versa. If you trust me, if you see me dependable, you see me confident, I'm able to solve your problem. I mean, you will come to me. I mean, the work gets going. It's like an entrepreneurial world today.
Yeah.
And I keep asking in many open house, I do keep asking because people ask me this question, how do careers grow here? I flip the questions on the other side that if you open a company today, suppose you are doing a startup, what kind of people you would hire in your immediate team? Comes the answer. The person should be dependable, go-getter, somebody should be energizer, somebody whom can solve the issue. I think the same thing applies to you and me.
Yeah.
When you are in the context of an organization, you should look at your work like an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
The compartments are also vanishing. Very often I see symptoms with some people. No, it's not my job. Or I have sent a mail.
Yeah.
That doesn't stop you.
Absolutely.
Are you an entrepreneur? I think that's what is changing around us. If everyone is an entrepreneur, it creates miracles at workplace. You
Absolutely.
will be the go-to person for your bosses, for your peer, and that's the soft skill one has to uh, develop more and more. Of course, beyond that, there are basics of communication, body language, all that is there. Those are fundamental.
Yeah,
But the
absolutely.
basic soft skill is, are you a problem solver?
Problem solving. And it pretty much brings us like it's going to be a self-evolving, framework. If everybody goes with that entrepreneurial spirit and starts acting on it. I really like that we've made this transition, Rajorshi, that we should talk about the talent magnet, but something that I'm going to take away today is a problem solver magnet. I really love this that you've said that it's about energizing. I think a lot of leaders overlook on these skills and they think that it's going to be that important. I really like how you put this in a story for us.
And sorry, it
Yes,
starts
please
even at
do.
our home.
Yeah,
You know, you cannot, I mean, see, all of us have problems, in our personal life. Everyone has a lot of things to balance, but you
yeah,
cannot be someone who is always nagging at workplace.
absolutely. Yeah,
You have to get the work done. If you get the work done, you are the person.
you're the person. Absolutely. And it is like an infectious energy that's going to
Yeah.
spread on all floors. So
And
that's a great.
even on an everyday basis, I keep seeing example that the
Yeah,
differentiating factor is somebody who gets the job done.
absolutely. I think that's like a non-negotiable factor now.
And it is becoming more complex today in the
Yeah,
complex world. People who are able to come out and be successful at work are the people who, you know, finally solves the, of course, gets the work done by variety of the soft skill that they develop. They are collaborative. They will reach out. You don't have to tell them
absolutely.
what needs to be done. They are not very job description led person. Though in the world of HR we have job description, but I myself hate it because maybe 50% of the work I do or we do today doesn't it's not written in the job description. But
Yeah,
we have to
that's
do to get the organization going. So are you one
absolutely.
of those?
That's like a bigger question to ask. Are we one of those? Thank you, Rajorshi. I think very nicely we've created the storyline. We've talked about the overview. We've covered the skills shortages. We've also touched upon the branding strategy overall and the soft skills. I think one thing that remains pending in this conversation line would be the prominent challenges when it comes to talent acquisition. A lot of viewers of ours have had these questions. So I'm going to ask you now that if you could just share some top of the line or the most prominent challenges that you face in the TA space and maybe a couple of strategies to overcome.
See the challenges in the talent acquisition space. One is the availability of a talent who is kind of ready to go, because the business in today's world need a person who is able to start from yesterday. And obviously that's not easy, but in the talent acquisition space, therefore, when you are part of an organization, how well you have developed the process and systems to kind of create a good mapping of the industry so that you have ready flow of talent whenever you need it. So that's one challenge I think most organizations face today. Uh, and how we overcome some of these is, of course, through employer branding. You have a good mapping of the market. You create good process and screening systems to at least ensure that, the people that we get, and of course, backed up by a good training and learning system, so that they are effective on the job at the earliest. Uh, the other, challenge that at times we face in the talent acquisition space is organization into, they look for, at least our kind of the organization that I represent, we look for stability of talent, but often we find people have, change jobs very often, maybe, 4 5 changes in as many years, but that actually doesn't help a person, because when we talk to them, we try to understand what impact they have created. They fail to come up with good examples of their impact stories. So this is another challenge we find, that while the economy is growing, the job opportunities are growing, the probably the stickiness in the job needs to slightly improve for a person or a professional to groom themselves better in their career. There would be opportunities, but how do you really, create an impact and then grow your career? The other challenge, as I said, one is, this mostly we face in the fresher level is, the continuous gap between what the industry needs and the education system, kind of churns out. There are gaps, of course, and that gap we are trying to kind of always narrow it down by talking at different academic forums and all. But today, that's still a challenge, because people come out, they have undergone certain education degree or they have received a degree, but they may not be fully ready for the job. So
Right.
the other challenge is when they come in the organization, how quickly you can get them ready. But if there have been more finishing schools in the country for different industry, I think that would be a great boon to all industry today. And the last challenge I would say is, you know, what I personally notice when I interview people at times is the lack of depth. And there are people who are well qualified, even they have handled a lot of good, they have had good innings, but sometimes, many times, we often find the lack of depth. Because if you want to really distinguish yourself as a good talent, somewhere you have to start developing that, the what we call as the T, the vertical part of the T. You have to have that depth in your subject or your area. And then, of course, the emotional part or the EQ part, how do you get the work done? So these are some of the things that has been a constant talk.
I think that looks like a great deal of challenges that you've seen, but I'm very happy that you've kind of flagged each one of them with an answer. Rajorshi, thank you so much. This has been like a fantastic chat. I know we're moving towards the end of the conversation, and if I could ask you, like, what are your closing comments for the viewers?
No, I think we touched upon a lot of interesting areas, and thanks for bringing up those issues. I think, see, it's a for viewers. I think only what I can say is, there are exciting times ahead. India is seen to be a booming economy, and maybe over the next decade or so, if all goes well, we will be, I think, one of the top ranking. We are already there, but we'll be further, going up the ranks, and that would open up a lot of opportunities. And if the viewers are freshers or people, it will open up a lot of opportunities. Uh, I think grab those opportunities, but prepare yourself well. Because it's not just about entering an organization. How do you create that impact over a period of time?
Yeah.
Jobs may be easy to get in the first few years, but it may not be so easy to build up your career. And if you have an aspiration to go up to the CXO level, it requires a lot of hard work, a lot of passion, lot of willingness to solve issues. Stick to organization where you feel that really you're valued and you can make your career, rather than just jumping at the next opportunity, because you may get the opportunity, but then you may hit a glass ceiling after some time because you have not really learned much.
Absolutely.
I think these are some of the tips I want to give, but I see a happy, exciting, and equally challenging times ahead. Challenge in the sense that one should have the competency to navigate ambiguity, challenges, be very adaptive, agile. And I would continue to say, whichever profession one is in the coming days or even from now, they should see them as an entrepreneur of what they are doing.
Yeah.
The moment we change the lens to an entrepreneur, you don't need to be an entrepreneur. In your job, you can be an entrepreneur. The moment you change the lens, you'll see the world in a different way.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Rajorshi. I think this has been like a series of power anecdotes that you shared with the viewers today. What an honor to learn from you. Thank you so, so much once again.
Thank you. Thank you, Soumya, and thanks to your team for organizing this today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And for my viewers, with that, we are wrapping up yet another insightful conversation on the We Talk Talent season. We hope you, our amazing viewers, found today's discussion as enriching as we did. Remember, the world of talent management is ever evolving. And like Rajorshi said, it's full of opportunities. It's exciting times ahead for us, but we need to prepare well for that. On that note, I'm signing off. Thank you so much. And we're going to see you once again with another interesting conversation coming your way. Thank you so much, everyone.